It's that time again. Time for another episode of Doctor to Doctor in the chat room. I am your host, Rhonda Shaw, and I'm honored to have another opportunity for us to hang out and share this hour together. I've got an awesome show lined up for you today. And as always, I just want to say, as I always do, make sure that you are taking really good care of yourselves. I always want to encourage that. Whatever that looks like for you, just make sure that you are doing that. Today, we get to dive into something a little bit different than what we normally do in the chat room. Hip hop. You heard me right, hip hop. A culture of vision, a culture of voice. Hip hop is global, lapping on every shore and landing in every corner of the world. But what does hip hop mean? Is it the music that we do the little chest thumping beat, the rap fire lyrics wrapped into a handheld mic, gravity defying dance steps, writers turning walls into canvases with larger than life letters and illustrations? Yeah, it's all of that. It's all of that and more. It embraces these artistic elements, but for sure, but it also has blended and transcended them to become a means for seeing, celebrating, experiencing, understanding, confronting, and commenting on life in the world. Hip hop is a way of life, it's a culture. The elements of hip hop came together in the Bronx borough of New York City. It was the early 1970s, and times were tougher than usual for the poor parts of urban America. From a whole lot of nothing and a whole lot of imagination, hip hop took form. With hip hop, you find these different elements of culture. You got the DJing, the artistic handling of beats and music, MCing, aka rapping, putting spoken word poetry to a beat, breaking, hip hop's form of dance, writing, the painting of highly stylized graffiti, theater and literature, combining hip hop elements and themes in drama, poetry, and stories, knowledge of self, the moral, social, spiritual principles that form and inform and inspire hip hop ways of being. It's all of those things. And today, we're so elated to have our guest, who is the founder and executive director of Hip Hop for Change. His name is Khafre J. He's a change maker, community organizer, a consultant that helps businesses incorporate hip hop into their programs, an artist, and the best father ever. Hailing from Hunters Point, San Francisco, and being raised in a city with the highest income inequality in the nation. Khafre dedicated his adult life to fighting for socioeconomic justice while learning to empower his community's voices, and he primarily does that through hip hop organizing. His passions for music, grassroots solutions, and community justice drove him to create the nonprofit organization Hip Hop for Change in 2013, which started from a clipboard on 24th Street and quickly grew to the world's largest hip hop education organization. With Khafre at the helm, Hip Hop for Change employed over 1,000 people in the community, educated over 35,000 youth K-12, and raised over $6 million through grassroots means and public support. He's now at the helm of a new revolutionary nonprofit, Hip Hop for the People, creating even more space for his culture. His ultimate goal is to bring hip hop back under community control through the nonprofit sector. Khafre's brand of pro-Black, anti-white supremacist, misogynist, community-oriented hip-hop is a plus on any stage. And if you want your audience to move, Khafre J is your answer. He never slows down. But we are so grateful here on Doctor to Doctor in the chat room that he has slowed down just enough to come and hang out with us in the chat room. And just before we bring him on, I really want to play a TED Talk done by Khafre J. I want you to hear how he uses his platform of hip hop to prompt change. Listen into this.
Yo. I'm walking an hour ago in Sausalito downtown, and this lady didn't see me until about 5 feet away from me. She looks up and she grabbed her baby so hard I saw a fight or flight response. I'm used to it. Don't worry. This might hurt you guys, not me. I get it. That's because the narratives of hip hop are so perpetuated thoroughly that people don't know us more than they know these narratives. And I want you to know 3 companies own 90% of the depiction of my culture of hip hop. And it's a culture, it's not rapping, it's breaking. Graffiti art, DJ, the way I walk, talk, paint, dress, think, act, I can't take it all. But why do we buy all this gangster rap? Oh, wait, we don't. 75% of hip hop is bought by suburban white men between 18 and 24. 90% of hip hop is bought by suburban white people. Black people have been trying to get out from under these narratives for so long. And I wear this on my shoulders in every social interaction I'm in. So in Hip Hop for Change, we work with the artists of our culture that are doing it right. We get them connected to our kids who are hip hop and don't really know how to do it. We get them to kids who are not hip hop so they can, not perpetuate these stereotypes that are oppressing us. So right now, I'm gonna rap some gangster rap for it. No. Who likes food justice? Who likes babies having full stomachs with organic produce in their bellies when they go to school? Let's hit this, man. Let's go. Yeah. If you guys want to know more about us, go to hiphopforchange.org and see what we're really about. Because hip hop is our creativity, right? Hip hop is how we express ourselves in the hood. We don't have anything. All right? So we have to knock on stuff and we got to rap and be good. So check it. Yeah, a hand reaches out asking for a bite to eat. You ever been feeling that pain while you're trying to sleep? The land is trying to grow. There's something wrong, and man is harvesting more. But enough is on the waste fraud. Abuse the truth of that IMF. You get a little bit of money just to try and set. Petro, agro, capitalistic, and feed only grow if you got money to stretch it with brown up fish. Yeah, there ain't no feed sowing. So years later now we wonder where the feed's going. GMO, we got a monocrop food system. I'm dying to get some nutrition. Look, corporations tend to make us think we need a store. When Mama Nature gives us all we ever wanted more. And 1 billion people tonight who should be eating more. And they just trying to feed the war, not the poor. We gotta plant some justice, grow some seeds. Dig in the earth for these groceries. I gotta promote the culture for those in need. So the world's got folks to feed, right? We gotta plant some justice, grow some seeds. Dig in the earth for these groceries. I gotta promote the culture for those in need. So the world's got folks to feed, right? I'm walking through the hood, seeing all these vacant lots. In my head, thinking we should even make a plot. Grow a crop for the block. We'll be grown soon. Not a little kid doing good in the schoolroom. A hand reaches out, asking you to show him how he can touch the earth so that we can be the people now. Take his hands out the cups, put them in the ground, steal them back from the man, get them back to the land. Man, I'm fighting it just for the space, right? To plant a seed so that I can get a space fight. Food organically grown so it tastes right now. Food that's going faster than a race strike. The lake level's getting lower than always high. World hunger is going higher than a space flight. And the revolution now growing in our face might be the thing that set the place right for the light. I gotta plant some justice, grow some seeds. Dig in the earth for these groceries. I gotta promote the culture for those in need. So the world got folks to feed, right? I gotta plant some justice, grow some seeds, legalize hemp, decriminalize weed. Promote the culture for those in need. So the world got folks to feed. So, yo, when I say plant some, y'all say justice. Plant some. Y'all plant some. When I say grow some, y'all say seed. Grow some. Grow some. Plant some. Grow some. Plant some, grow some. Yo, when somebody can say something that's stupid, but all they can do is blame it on rap music. Yeah, one more song. I wrote this one for the California Nurses Union. This is gonna be real gangster rap right here. So bust that out, y'all. This is about the Robin Hood tax. You guys know about that? Robin Hood tax? I heard that. Let's do it. Yo. All right. Oh. Check it out. Some people Now our students can't pay for lunch meals. They broke the system, but the people have to pay for the 1% made all the money since 2008. That's fucking great, yo. Now we can't afford not to tax them. Charging for their financial discretion should be the maximum. But fast. Now students whose luck is trashing, gathering up the populace minded to cover action. Asking for breath with 9 times the fees on my student debts with banks don't not quite like me. They don't sigh, they don't bleed, they just ride on the tweet. We need a private hood tax to the price of the street. Talk about what we saw. All right, it's like collective culture. It's how we make it. When we don't have Christmas like a mother, let's keep going. Yes, they make billions while almost paying for nothing. It'll cost them barely a fraction. Companionship is nothing. We have to throw a 0.5% of the money that's being traded while we scratching for rent. We need to invest in low-income families and the safety nets. All the social services, child care for the baby next. Take that money and invest it in infrastructure instead of rich derivative bubbles that spin the rupture. Been doing this since 1914. It's your thing. Corporations only hacking, they aching for more greed. The Inclusive Prosperity Act. In fact, the your dream of Keith Ellis from D working the house floor seat is right there. And all we gotta do is pass it for the sake of the nation. So that support could be an asset. It's nothing drastic. It's just ridiculous food to give some kids on the street. Need the students some food. How is it? Y'all feeling that? Oh my God. Supposed to pay the way. All right? Well, I want y'all to go to hip-hop.org and check out some read the culture. Yes. Yo, 40 countries doing it now. 11 more is coming. We got the Northern Lowlands saying that this is surely something. But business leaders in support here like Warren Buffett, countries like Brazil, Great Britain, seem to surely love it. And surely doesn't cut that market instability. So the economic growth will be the target of the penalty. This stability supported by thousands of our economists. Blow up the freaking message. Come around like the populace. It ain't no stopping us. No. Locking up or blocking us. Take back our own future. Only you can respond to this. It's time to get up. Get up. And that student debt. They took the people's money in the way, thinking that you forget, yo. But we did. Hell nah. Push it back. So I have to write a book to give a Robin Hood attached, bringing that hip hop for change. So it's understood that we gotta flip flop the game and bring a lot of good back. Thank you.
Khafre J, how are you, sir?
I am doing well. I'm doing well, rolling with the punches. Well,
yes, we are so very happy to have you here. I thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to just share a moment with us. I've been following your work, and I just played that TED Talk. Let's talk about that. What was the message in that? I really love both of them, but the one, you gotta plant some justice. I love it. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, first off, I wrote that song for another grassroots org out here in Oakland called Planting Justice that is dear to my heart. They work with formerly incarcerated folks, people that have been impacted by the criminal justice system, and they also give them jobs canvassing, doing grassroots organizing, but building farms and food deserts and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I like to do these little hip hop hit pieces where I, do a nonprofit, a song for a nonprofit here or there. That's where Planting Justice came from. That last song, Representative
Robin Hood tax.
Yeah, Keith Ellison was doing, trying to push that bill through just to, take a little 0.5% off of these speculation trades and try to fund some justice, some help for the people. And so I like putting things like that into lyrics, things you wouldn't normally see in a rap song and giving it to people that don't normally get to use hip hop as a vehicle. So that was a pretty cool moment. And I got invited to perform at the TEDx in Sausalito. So that was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. Phenomenal job that you did.
Thank you.
So you fight for socioeconomic justice while empowering your community's voice, and you do it through hip hop. Yeah. How did you land in the space that you're in?
Well, I've been doing hip hop for a very long time, and I feel like when everybody starts doing hip hop, they're like, yo, I love to get big. I love to make some money. I love to make it. And, you know, I've been rapping for a long time. You know, it took me about 15 years to get in there. Give me 1 second, baby. All right. It took me about 15 years to get to the point where I was really just pissed off, quite honestly. You know, the fact that I don't rap about, you know, women objectifying. I don't rap about money. I don't glorify drug abuse. So I'm not going to make it to the mainstream. That is really not FUBU. It's not for us by us. It's for, you know, white kids, mostly white men in the suburbs, to act like thugs for a night and have fun. And the industry is really catering to them because they have a lot more money. So if you don't fit that mold, you don't make money. And most of my community is not making that money. Okay, yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Very interesting that it caters to that particular demographic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I feel like it's like a thought experiment. It really makes sense when we hear about the 96 Telecom Act that now means 3 companies own 90% of the means of producing hip hop. Sorry, not hip hop culture, but rap music specifically. And they really don't care about any color but green. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you go work there, you might get, you know, discriminated against. But, you know, when it comes to it, Black people collectively don't have any wealth. So why would they bet a $7 billion industry on the needs and the desires of Black people, especially when we have all these cultural rules and norms that need to be catered to? Serving, you know, an extra communal, you know, population like suburban white men is really easy. And, you know, I often talk about the fact that, you know, all we see on, you know, when it comes to Black women rapping is women rapping about their booty cheeks nowadays, right? Well, that makes sense because white men don't want to hear Black women talk about their lives mattering. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to hear Black women matter. They don't want to hear that. So why would we expect to get that? I feel like we expect rap to do better towards Black women when we think that it's Black people buying this stuff. But no, white men are not going to support Black women rapping about their socioeconomic status. So young Black women and young Black men don't get those narratives. And I think that's a damn shame. You know, I think every Black generation has had our Nina Simones, you know what I'm saying? Stokely Carmichaels, right? Unfortunately, those people ain't what's popping in the suburbs right now. So we don't have no more native tongues. We don't have Queen Latifah's and Moni Loves and Quest, as well as Uncle Luke's. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a culture. So I was tired of being broke. I was tired of all my homies being broke. And I cut my teeth as an activist working in grassroots organizing. So it didn't take too much for me to put 2 and 2 together and say, hey, you know, maybe we got something.
Okay. So you say that hip hop is a culture. We're going to go to break and come back in a moment. And I want you to talk about those principles of the hip hop culture. We'll be right back in a moment on Doctor2Doctor in the chat room on 94.7 FM in just a moment. And we are still here on 94.7 FM on Doctor2Doctor in the chat room. I am chatting with Khafre J. Did I pronounce your name right? Because I will butcher one.
No, that's definitely right, 100%. And thank you for trying. Most people don't even try. So I appreciate your pronunciation and your attempt, your effort.
Absolutely. All right. So let's talk about the principles of the hip hop culture. Break that down for us.
Absolutely. You know, hip hop comes from a real community, real people, you know what I'm saying, that look like us, you know what I'm saying, certain socioeconomic status with certain shared practices, schema, patterns of behavior, you know what I'm saying? And then the Zulu Nation codified that, you know, the principal elements of hip hop, but they also codified the principal tenets that are peace, love, unity, and having fun. That's what hip hop is to me. That's what hip hop is to the community and culture. So I love when I get to go lecture at colleges, K through 12s, and say, have you ever heard anybody talk about hip hop like this? And all the kids say, no. But yet they're all doing hip hop. So where's the disconnect?
So how are you using hip hop in as a vehicle for education?
Well, I mean, what is education? It's just sharing information, right? You know what I'm saying? And whether it's kinesthetic learning, right? You break dance, you know, I think half the break dancers are like vegan and like they're talking about lifting weights and, you know, neuromuscular junctions, proprioception, vestibular. I mean, we can get nerdy and use all these collegiate level words to describe what these young homies are talking about on a day-to-day basis in their own lexicon. But that's information. It's educating kids about their body-mind connection through b-boy and b-girling, you know. I think we get the same thing when it comes to graffiti, right? chiaroscuro, right? The perception of three-dimensional space transposed on a two-dimensional plane. Like I said, we can use all these collegiate words, but we look at these people in their galleries with their meats and cheeses and their pinkies up, you know what I'm saying? Talking about the, the Fauvist stylisms of this, artist. But then you got kids at the subway station with their 40s, maybe, you know what I'm saying, watching subway trains go by, that they have to risk their lives and their freedom and liberty to steal paint and then go break into a train station because they didn't have art class because the society wouldn't give that to them because society didn't give a damn. Wow. But Basquiat is going to be Basquiat whether y'all let him or you don't let him. And if you don't let him, he's going to steal your paint and he's going to spray your cars up. And the car's going to say, Ed Koch doesn't care about Black people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that's what graffiti's always done since the pyramids until now, but we will not otherize these Black kids in the hood, these brown kids that want to paint. But we damn for sure are not going to demean and devalue the education that they're learning by trying to transcribe their ideas onto a car and risk their lives trying to get there. You know what I'm saying? I hold that in high regard because you got to give us free, as they say in Amistad. I think the same goes for rapping, goes for DJing, you know what I'm saying? I think that, other elements of hip hop, fashion, I think there's a certain kind of education that goes through fashion and the street sense, right? There's street entrepreneurialism. Hip hop has its own ways of sharing our own collective knowledge. And I think that when I rap, even if I was rapping some ignorant stuff, you still learn something from it. Audre Lorde said the very act of telling your story is resistance. She didn't specify it had to be a beautiful, rosy, flowery story. You know what I'm saying? So we just keep it real. And I think that's real education. So I can tell you how I put that into pedagogy, but I think rapping and just doing hip hop is education in general. So but yeah, I think hip hop just being a vehicle for information. It's real easy to go through a K through 12 class and teach the kids about the history of hip hop and what it's given to people, what it's done. And then I don't have to tell them what to rap about. They want to rap about politics. They want to rap about, how the world is treating them like, they're realizing they're a young Black kid and they're going to be treated different now. Like I don't have to tell them not to disrespect women when I'm in a high school class and I've just done an hour-long lecture on what hip hop did for Black and brown folks. But I think it's a beautiful thing. I work with teachers all the time and, I work with, some schools that don't even speak English. And they're like, I'm like, I don't have to understand, what they're rapping about to know their syllabic intonations on point. And I could teach that and I could give them an example in English and we'll use our hands and we'll be motioning this, but everybody knows what a beat is, you know what I'm saying? And if I got a little translator, whatnot, I can get a whole class rapping in Tagalog or, Chinese or Mandarin or whatnot, you know what I'm saying? So I've done that before. We've had kids break dance in geometric shapes. We've done all kinds of stuff like, I also was working with Parks, California, East Bay Regional. They said, how do you get Black, brown kids into the woods? And I said, short of, stopping white folks from being so damn microaggressive a mile down the trail when they didn't think they'd see a Negro. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, hey, I hike too, bro. I hike too. Don't shoot. But short of that, I was like, yo, pay them. Let's pay them. Let's get them into the woods and let's teach them about the ecology, the environment, maybe the original inhabitants, taking them to Mosswood Park here in Oakland and teach them about the Black Panther, Freedom Party and the breakfast program they did out of the park. And then let's get them rapping about it. You know what I'm saying? Let's get them doing graffiti murals on Candlestick Regional Park with sandpipers and blue herons and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Let's get them rapping about pollution and the toxic Superfund site next to Candlestick Regional Park. And yeah, I think everybody's always amazed. I go to schools and teachers are like, damn, I've never seen these kids so focused for 2 hours. They're like, it's like the bad school, quote unquote. I'm like, well, maybe you've never used their culture as a vehicle for information.
Interesting, because I was just about to ask you, because I have an education background. And I really, you use what you have, right? And for me, it was music, right? I have a music background and I use the music in my classroom. But, do you have an education background? Like you are so naturally, you are so organic with this how to teach, how to, you say you can't break it down from the pedagogy or what, but it's like you do. But it's kind of like you do.
Yeah, I mean, I can, you know what I'm saying? It's really easy to put it and, transcribe it into that kind of language so I can break it down to people that speak in that lexicon. I know you feel me out the way I put it down, so I appreciate it. I don't have to code switch too much with you, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think that I grew up watching Reading Rainbow. You know what I'm saying? I grew up, in acting. I grew up in the choir. You know what I'm saying? My dad, he valued education, and I think that once I, kind of got out of my toxic male hood phase,
yeah,
so to speak, I became a paraprofessional. Unfortunately, I was going to go into teaching, but Arnold Schwarzenegger killed my program twice, cut the funding for me. I was working at the Center for Bilingual Education as a paraprofessional. And I've always taught in some capacity. I used to work at a level 12 group home. And when you say you use what you got, that's definitely real, because I was one of the only cats from the hood in this level 12 group home up in the middle of nowhere. I was going to school in Mendocino. And I was just rapping with these kids because I'm a rapper, and they're rapping about all this fake gangster stuff, and I'm the only one from the same place as they are, but they're wondering why I'm rapping about all this community stuff. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I was helping kids learn how to, record, use GarageBand, and how to put bars together. So a couple years later, when I first started Hip Hop for Change, my first nonprofit that I started, that became the largest hip hop education nonprofit in the world. Brush my shoulder off.
Yeah. Yeah. We shared that in the introduction. Amazing.
Yeah, I wasn't even planning on doing education. I was really just planning on throwing fat hip hop shows and getting my homies paid. But so many people asked me, "Do you teach? Please teach." My kid wants hip hop. He's doing all this. I'm worried about him. Please. I was like, I couldn't keep hearing that. So, I figured that I'm smart. I have tenacity. Believe myself. So I created a 5-hour modular workshop that teaches an hour-long module on the history of hip hop, an hour on the rapping, where we get kids rapping 8 bars in front of the whole, class, including the teacher. Nobody's safe in the room. Everybody's getting it. Hour on breakdance, an hour on graffiti, and an hour on DJing or beat making and things like that. So, it's funny how little these teachers know what to do with these kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's funny how much they tell them to pull their pants up, to put their hat on straight, and stop. You need to don't say X, say ask. And I'm like, you don't even know about the Canterbury Tales and Chaucer talking about don't say X. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just want to otherize these Black kids, and everything in society tells these kids not to be themselves. So now they got to go to the damn school and hear that they're not who they need to be. And so I go into these schools and I'm talking to the music teacher, like, why don't you have no turntables in here, bro? Like, and you get over here mad yelling at these kids because they don't want to play your they don't want to play
your flute.
William Tell's Overture, you know what I'm saying? Like, William Tell's Overture is a fun song to play.
Yeah.
But damn, homie, like.
Yeah, but what I often say, the kids don't have teachers that look like them.
Of course.
That's the first thing. And then the next thing is really just to piggyback off what you just said. Then we worry about why you left your pencil at home. Pull your pants up. Turn that head around.
Yeah.
Like, and these kids are coming from traumatic environments, and that's what you gotta say.
And you want them to come in here like this?
Like just welcome them, right?
Give them a hug. Give them a hug. I actually just saw this video where this Black principal just hugs every student as they come in. And I was just like, it's so simple. You know what I'm saying? Like, we want kids to come as they are. Like, I just don't know. It's difficult. I got a 4.5-year-old daughter. She could read right now. I'm teaching her how to read. You know what I'm saying? I don't want her to go through all the struggle and stress, but it's just very interesting. I feel like we don't see our kids and we expect them to fit in. And when kids don't like that and start rebelling, we want to say they're bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it just really sucks. We don't have any kids that look like them. Like you said, I remember Mr. Prophet, my only Black male teacher. I listened to no other teacher could tell me nothing, but Mr. Prophet, I was like, yes, sir. But these kids are coming with trauma. They don't trust people, right? They damn for sure won't trust anybody telling them, don't do you, don't be you. You know what I'm saying? They will rebel against the world. And that's why these teachers are so surprised when these kids are so focused. They're so inspired.
And
They're
they
like,
have such buy-in. Like there's so much buy-in.
they're like, I didn't never knew that little Derek could rap about politics. Like,
Yeah.
you're like, I thought he was just a bad kid. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It makes me sad. It makes me sad.
You're making me miss the classroom a little bit. I taught third grade or fourth grade social study once. This has been many, many moons ago.
Yeah, they would
And
have to fire me.
I live in Tennessee.
They
And
would
the
fire me.
chapter, the chapter was on music in Tennessee.
Oh, word.
And the kids got to choose how they wanted to summarize the chapter. And I had several kids that rapped it. They rapped the chapter. Now that's been a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it went so well that the principal literally had me to redo the lesson and have like the local news folks come in and tape it and all of that. Yeah, it's amazing the simple things we can do to captivate them.
That's very similar to something Jizza did from the Wu-Tang Clan, because Wu-Tang children, you know, as the late ODB said, but he had something called Rap Genius in the New York schools where, you know, in the classes, instead of turning in a report, they would rap. And then they would rap battle in their school, you know, who had the dope, right? And then they go to a contest, you know, all the schools who the top rappers in the school rapping their science projects. And so the person that won the district, this little kid, amazing. This kid was comparing force and mass and inertia to being a young Black man trying to make it through society.
Wow.
And can I tell you, when that thing brought me chills, I was like, wow. And they wanted that kid to write a damn essay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This, you know, I feel like we have lost what education is, and we think that we can educate kids instead of being a vehicle for them to educate themselves. We might be able to hand them a book and say,
powerful.
Yeah, you got to read this, kid. I mean, you know, you can tell a kid to read something, but we're talking about reading comprehension, and that that's self-driven thing. So I don't even understand how these teachers can speak to these kids and think their minds are open and receptive to learning, and then sit with these kids for a whole semester, looking them in their eyes and not seeing that this kid is not receptive to me, doesn't like me, and I'm just gonna keep talking to his face for my paycheck.
Yeah.
They have to fire me. I can't do that. You know what I'm saying?
So what do you think we can do? Because I mean, the educational system across the board is broken. We know that. And you know, reading is one of those things that we know many of the children that look like you and I, that we're behind. They're behind. Like, what can we do to catch them up? I mean, I'm asking, and I'm really not asking in a rhetorical way. Like, I feel like you have such a creative mind. Like, you might have some answers. Because
I got you. Like, my young daughter can read, and it's frustrating teaching the kid to read. Imagine if that kid, you didn't respect their culture or where they come from while you're trying to teach them how to read. You think that kid's gonna like reading later on in life? Hell no. You know what I'm saying? It was really hard to teach my 4-year-old, my 3.5-year-old to read. You know what I'm saying? But I love her to death, and I work with her. You know what I'm saying? And that's the basis that we start from. So a year later, she can read. You know what I'm saying? She got hop on pop down pat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that that's the problem. Number one, if you want to fix the educational system, we have to fix the way it is funded first. Like property taxes, individual neighborhoods, that's some racist Jim Crow era stuff. And unless we're having that conversation first and foremost, we're really not talking equity. You know what I'm saying? So equity and funding, or else we're not talking about, oh, that Black kids can't read. Well, why don't you put money in the Black kids' schools more than you're putting in the white schools already for 400 years, and see if these kids can read the same afterwards. You know what I'm saying? They got iPads and VR and all this stuff. But I think that, you know, you said it, they don't have teachers that look like them, that actually love them, that will hug them. They have teachers that say, you guys are the problem. You have teachers that'll say the N-word, you know, or say microaggressive stuff, or, you know, the school to prison pipeline stats. You have to have teachers that love them. I'm hesitant to put my child in a school. Like, I don't even know how to find a damn babysitter for her, because how am I going to just give my kid to somebody I don't know? That's my baby, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Who my baby is chilling with for that much time. You know what I'm saying? It has to love and care about them enough to be able to walk them through teaching them how to read. That is one of the most frustrating things, learning how to read English, because it makes no sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's 18 languages smushed together through time. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have somebody that's loving. And if we have all these Black kids in this white supremacist education system with less than a quarter of the resources per capita, and teachers that don't look like them and don't like straight love them, not only don't love them, that don't just have biases against them, why do you think Black kids don't read good? That's frustrating. It's such a frustrating thing to do, let alone to do it with some not well-meaning white folks, like
Yeah. Yeah.
with no resources in a school
Mm-hmm.
that teaches you that our people were, not enslaved, but immigrant workers, in
Mm-hmm.
Texas, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying, or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't expect these kids to read good. I don't even like reading, you know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
ingest knowledge other ways. I watch lots of documentaries and
Yeah, and
science.
I listen to Audible books. I don't read them, although
Yeah,
I read well, but I mean,
yeah. I mean, I read well too, but I think that maybe I would have enjoyed it had I, had a loving Black space,
absolutely,
to do that. So
absolutely.
I don't want to put anything on our children, you know what I'm saying? Because we invented math and science and buildings and bathing,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying, and all this stuff.
Yeah,
But
we're at another break. We're gonna go to break, and we're
yes.
gonna continue when we come back on the other side of break. We'll be back in a moment on 94.7 FM. Still hanging out with Khafre J. We're talking about hip hop and how he's using hip hop to change education, to empower our culture, and to have a voice for the community.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the social justice events that
Well,
you employ to help youth and communities of color.
Well, first off, I started Hip Hop for Change, the largest hip hop education nonprofit in the world. But I've always been trying to take back the means of production, the stage, which is where most artists get paid. If we don't have our Nina Simone's, you know what I'm saying, out there, then those narratives don't get passed down. And I feel like if you put chili meat next to filet mignon, and ask somebody, what do you want for dinner? They're going to pick the filet mignon. So
Yeah.
we have these narratives that are, remind you these kids of their ancestral drums. It's the thing that made me stop rapping about stupid stuff when I was 19. You know what I'm saying? I heard these amazing artists. So I want our economy back. I want our stage back. I want to be able to get these narratives there. So I am focusing now my new nonprofit, Hip Hop for the People, on events. And right now, when it comes to hip hop, it's a very extractive industry. Right? They put a little bit of money in these voices and, go to a community. They're not there to build up a hip hop scene, where they're booking. They're just trying to extract money, and nobody can pay $50 for a ticket to see somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not people I hang out with. So I'm trying to change the math, and I've been throwing justice events that are free for the public for almost a half a decade now. I started with the environmental justice summits, especially since I'm from Hunters Point, right next to the toxic Navy shipyard site. And instead of charging our people, I would go talk to 350.org, Sierra Club, Surf Rider Foundation, East Bay Regional Parks, the National Trust for Public Land. I'd be like, give me some money. I need $35,000. We're about to throw a really fat hip hop show. And we'll blast y'all out and say thank you. It'll be free for the public. We'll have a panel discussion with a bunch of local BIPOC art, ecologists, activists, a panel discussion on about what's going on in our communities, the lead in Fruitvale in Oakland, you know what I'm saying? The West Oakland port that's putting all kind of arsenic and mercury and toxic pollution inside the air over there. And we'll invite all the small, BIPOC-led environmental justice orgs to come table and have access to these people, these orgs that can't throw a really fat hip hop show. So I started with environmental justice. I've done the same thing with cannabis equity summits when, cannabis was a big industry opening up here in San Francisco. Done women's empowerment summits. The last one I did, we had a panel discussion with all mothers in hip hop. And there was not many dry eyes in the audience at certain points, you know what I'm saying? All female identified artists, everybody getting paid, shows 100% free, getting paid for by philanthropic organizations that have money. And a lot of these organizations are turning wider and wider and older, and they don't even know how to talk to people like me, people like us, people in our community, low income people. So now I'm really focused on health and wellness. That was my last event that just went on Sunday. Organizations like the East Bay Community Foundation, AIDS Health Foundation, West Oakland Health, Black Nurses Association, the Stanford Health, they all put up the money. We had a bunch of healthcare organizations there.
Have you done anything on mental health?
I did not get a mental health organization there. I was trying to reach out, and mind you, health and wellness is not my lane. hip hop show. So this is going to be a continuing series. I'm going to continue to reach out to mental health because it's the body. It's a holistic effort.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Absolutely. I have to admit, and when I asked you this question, that I did not. Did you watch the BET Awards? Did you see Busta Rhymes? Now, I didn't watch the BET Awards, but I did catch the clip of his acceptance speech for the Lifetime Achievement Award. Did you see that?
I did not get a chance. This week has been hectic to say the least. But that man is prolific. I've seen him on stage a couple of times. That man, I mean, his whole life, he has been A1 as an artist since he was 15 years old.
You have conveyed a lot in this discussion of what he said in his acceptance speech.
I'm gonna brush my shoulder off again, doctor.
Yeah.
Wow. How so? Please eloquate that if you can.
Well, in terms of how he's the influence and cleaning it up, right? You cleaned it up to influence children and help them influence how they do it, right? And he's saying we got to get back to that. That's basically what he's saying. Like, we got to get back to that. He said it's a culture. He said it's a way of life. He said, this ain't about no beefing and like you said, and the twerking and the what, he was real. You should go and watch it because I think you would really brush your shoulders off.
I'm definitely gonna talk to him, but if I could, that's why I'm working so hard to meet people like Busta. If I could just have a conversation with homie, I need all the help I can get. And I think that's the biggest thing. When people have been used by the industry, they become very insulated. There's a lot of sharks and snakes and whatnot. So I'm trying to figure out, how do I go talk to Busta Rhymes? This week I'm going to talk to. I paid $250 for a ticket to go to Oakland Museum fundraiser just so I could shake Ryan Coogler's hand and be like, "Yo, homie, listen to what I'm trying to do." Because it's my clarion call. I'm calling all cards. Because I think I have a good model here. I got a good math to work, and I got some chili. I got some filet mignon to put next to the chili meat of the industry. But I think what Busta said is deep. These kids are hip hop. Hip hop is the largest human expressive cultural form that has ever been invented. We got kids rapping in Glasgow and Mumbai. You know what I'm saying? We got women risking getting beheaded in Syria just to this stuff. And hip hop seems to pop up everywhere where people don't have access to art supplies. You know what I'm saying? Cost me nothing to beat on the wall and start rapping. That's where Afro beats come from. That's where a lot of these things are being influenced from. Hip hop is not going nowhere, and all our kids are using it. So it'll behoove us to incorporate that as a tool in health, and mental health and education. I mean, I don't know why we wouldn't use something that has all our kids in a vice grip.
I will look at graffiti totally different after this discussion.
And we can't invalidate our kids who are doing the same thing that white people did in the pyramids and in the Vatican and all kinds of people. We've been scratching on. That's why it's called graffiti. Mussolini coined the term graffiti as a derogatory term because people were putting this stuff up saying, F Mussolini, right? Yeah. That's why he said that's graffiti. He didn't want graffiti because use graffiti as a means of passing messages, voices, going, what about the little thing with the fish, and Christians that were being persecuted? Like, there's been graffiti forever. And I think this is a way that we otherize Blackness and Black culture and Black creation, Black excellence, Black swag, Black magic. I can keep going. But I will not let that happen around me. And I will learn all the lexicons and all the little, collegiate words I can to validate my culture in a way that it doesn't often get validated. So I'm glad that rap has been so important to me, that I love meaning and etymologies. I love words so much that I've learned enough of them to convey this stuff to the depth I can. That's magic for me. I'm trying to be like James Baldwin, you know what I'm saying? Or Phyllis Wheatley. So
yeah. I saw an interview and I don't know, I can't remember the host name. A lady was interviewing you and it was you're laughing, you already know.
I know exactly. Yeah, that was a difficult interview.
Yeah, I saw those comments, difficult interview, but yet, you did it so seamlessly. And what made me think of that interview, I told you I've been following your work, and what made me think of that interview is how you said, you love, learning these words and more ways to convey you know, the messages that you want to convey. And I think you had everything you needed that day to stand firm in your message, and you did it well.
Thank you. That was one of the first times I think I had all the tools. Really, I think I had the unapologeticness and the belief in my own level of self-respect and my demand for it. That I was like, I don't care if I'm in front of the camera. I also understood how ignorant she was being.
Yeah.
And I was shocked by it, but I think that once you get to that level of understanding your own anger and your own validation for your anger, you don't really need to get angry and react as much as you need to just let little, I feel like these people are like kittens, and
It's called battle choosing. Yeah.
yeah, whatever's clever, it's also, I'm a little bit petty, and if you really want to like roast somebody, you got to do it the right, like you got to raise your voice. You can just be like, oh, boo, listen, so. So yeah, I'm working on that voice right there. I'm trying to get ready for Fox News.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And you will be there for sure. Yep. I mean, the tenacity, I mean, the determination, that the things that you're doing to get yourself in the right places, I mean, proves that it's a passion for you. And so you will definitely get there.
And I just incorporated Hip Hop for the Future, SPC, a social purpose stock corporation. I'm trying to figure out my for-profit, social purpose organization as well. So come hella high water, I'm gonna figure this out. I also don't want to act like I don't need all the help I can get, because this is all in the world to me. So anybody listening, they want to help me out, go to khafrej.com. Go to hiphopforthepeople.org, go to criticalracethreads.com. Just check me out. I'm here. And yeah, I got a good model. My math works. Now I just need my people.
Need your people. You spoke about how Black people want their own means of production and their own determination, and they don't want to be given handouts.
No.
Speak to that, because that's kind of a stereotype, right?
Yeah, I mean, so I often talk about and use the example of Tom's shoes, right? Tom's shoes, it was the idea, for every shoe you buy, I'm gonna give a pair of shoes out to some Africans that don't have shoes. Africans can't do nothing for themselves.
Yeah.
It went half of Africa's middle class. But anyway, so Tom's was being interviewed, and he was like, the person who runs that, he's like, man, I'm so happy at what we've been able to do. I want to be able to give shoes away for the rest of my life. And that sounds good if you just listen to it on the surface, but to me, I'm like, why do you want people to need shoes for the rest of your life? I was like, why don't you give them a factory and leave them alone so they can have their own damn shoes and jobs? And I think that's the epitome of white saviorism, right? It's like, oh, I want to go take pictures with Black people, while I went out and helped out for a year, and I'm gonna talk about it for the rest of my life, and while I go back on. I don't like that. You're not gonna take a picture of me and put me on your office like I helped the Negro out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I also think that this is a really interesting kind of saviorism that we even see in our own communities, where we see men trying to step up and protect women, not because they really want to be that sword for that woman, but they're like, oh, I'm macho, you ain't gonna disrespect my woman in front of me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I might end up, getting killed. And when the woman just wanted me to leave, just leave quickly because she was scared.
Yeah.
So I think oftentimes we don't step out ourselves to see what people need. I think white people as a social group do this more than anybody, especially white cis men. It's the privilege to not need, I don't know how it is to be that damn blissful. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But to not see all the red flags that I see as a Black person walking down the street, just trying to watch where everybody is and how they're feeling so I can come back home safe. A lot of white folks don't get taught like that. They just live in Shangri-La, la, 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 la. You know what I'm saying? Strolling down the street. So when I look at white saviorism, I look at this industry of philanthropy that's making so much money talking about helping people that look like me with hats like mine. You know what I'm saying? I look at Chicago, we're spending $1 million per block on the South Side to police these kids. $1 million per block to police. Can you imagine what $1 million could do per block?
Yeah, to educate and to
you can put 10 kids in the university every year, and I bet you them kids would fly right. You could buy each block a studio.
There you go.
But these people can't step out of their own selves to be able to empathize with people, to value their culture, to value just asking them what's going on. They'd rather just sit back and be like, "Oh, poor Negroes. Here, let's have a nonprofit where we go give them money for backpacks, and then we're gonna do DEI workshops because we're gonna be better white." And then the DEI workshops ran by a white lady
Rick,
and her black for
I
black
just
health.
said that. I just said that on my last show. Like, what is that about? Like, why is that?
It's billions and billions of dollars that they're making off of this white saviorism that doesn't work. And I think that in a subconscious level, they don't need it to work, nor do they want it to work. You know what I'm saying? It's
So
not
what
there.
are they afraid of?
No, it's not. They're not afraid. They're there to be feeling good as white people. You know what I'm saying? It's like pharmaceuticals. Ain't no doctors out there being like, "Oh, I just want to get these people buying drugs. I don't want to make a cure." That's not how things work. You know what I'm saying? It's just that they know that these doctors can get money for research for. You know what I'm saying? These corporations, they know that that's what their bosses are going to be okay with on the bottom line and the risk assessment. It's just a system. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, if blowing this stuff up would be more of a better, safer bet than just doing the nonprofit work that I do right now, I would make that bet of just trying to blow this whole system up. Because like Mario Savio, we need to put our bodies on the machines in the gears upon the levers until it stops. It just has to stop. And if I got a 4-year-old daughter here, so I can't go to federal penitentiary. You know what I said? I can't do that. What I can do is start nonprofits and try to teach kids. So maybe I won't cause the revolution, but maybe I might spark the brain that does, like Tupac said. You know what I'm saying?
How has it been for you navigating as a Black man in America who is so ingrained in this hip hop culture?
As a recent, wonderful. It's so good and galvanizing, being unapologetic and roasting people eloquently.
Eloquently, operative word.
It's using that on LinkedIn. I almost have 40,000 followers and 11,000 subscribers to my Unapologetic Black newsletter because I'm unapologetic. Like, one of my favorite shirts says "F your racist grandmother," right? And I'm on LinkedIn, I blast that out. Like, I'll put my picture out there and I have something poignant to say. I have another shirt that I make in my Critical Race Threads clothing line. It says, "White people make me nervous." I love walking around Trader Joe's in that shirt. I put that on LinkedIn too, and now I have 40,000 followers. People are like, "Hey, this is not Facebook." I'm like, first off, you don't know what my job is, homie, so watch your mouth. Google me. Feel free.
People get real sensitive about LinkedIn, don't they?
They can feel free to Google me. I'm here for a professional reason. And my professional reason is roasting white discomfort and breaking up white spaces. And calling in the folks that have privilege that can help and want to be accomplices, because we're going to hang together or we're going to hang separate. But if we don't get our stuff together, we're going to hang. So we might as well hang together. And I think because of that unapologeticness, it is easier for me to be Black. It is easier for me to accept the difficulty. It's easier for me understanding, what my ancestors went through that I'll never have to deal with. So if Medgar Evers could go out there and open that door up, why can't I do what I do? You know what I'm saying? I have no excuse when I'm standing on shoulders. I have no excuse looking into my daughter's eyes and rapping about anything less than Black excellence. No, I just can't. I just don't know what else to do at this point. And white people are going to be white people. They got all the damn money. That's not going to change. You know what I'm saying? I do a lot of Afro-Asian solidarity work, you know what I'm saying? Because of the things that occurred in our communities as of late. And people always say, Asian people don't care about us. I'm like, yo, that has nothing to do with my anti-racism. Like a lot of Asian people care about us. And there's been a history and tradition of us working together. There's also a lot of anti-Blackness in there, but I'm anti-racist. Anybody's oppression for all. So if we don't come together, we're going to hang separate. These white folks are going to get us and they're going to continue this genocide. So there's no neutrals in this war. There's none. It doesn't matter if you use hip hop or you use the cello. You can use the cello for hip hop too, but you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what vehicle you use. It doesn't matter if you're a doctor. What's your TV show? What's your interview going to be about? You know what I'm saying? Are you talking about making money as a doctor? Are you talking about how to help the community? It's just a platform. It's just a vehicle. Doesn't matter if you're doing tennis. Serena has helped a lot of people with their mental health. That young lady from Japan,
yeah, the tennis player.
Yeah, she did a small mental health revolution real quick by just being like, I don't want that paycheck. Y'all ain't gonna make me do anything. That was revolutionary.
It was.
Representation. So if people can understand that we are all here making ripples through space time, you know, into the future, and those will have impacts no matter how small you are, no matter whether you're on TV or you're just in the streets working a small job, big job, whatever. We have an impact. We've been given life, and damn it, I want to be worth that. I'm really fighting to be like Medgar Evers and Ida B. Wells. I would love to be. I would love to be there.
So we're kind of at the end, but tell us again how we can reach out to your organization, how we can help, and any final thoughts.
Give me all the money. Everybody give me all your money. I'm going to use it to uplift and elevate Black people. I promise you, I swear, you're just going to... Any resources. I need social capital. My name is Khafre, KHAFREJAY.com, hiphopforthepeople.org, criticalracethreads.com, and pretty soon hiphopforthefuture.com as well. Follow me on LinkedIn. You could Google me. But yeah, I'm calling all cards. I need all the help I get, all the community. So please reach out. I'm a couple clicks away. Thank you for having me too, Doctor.
Absolutely. I am so honored to have had you in this discussion. Guys, make sure you reach out and make sure you help if you can. And make sure you come back next Saturday, same chat channel, same chat time, right here on Doctor to Doctor in the chat room on 94.7 FM. We'll see you then.